Hi there, I'm John Lepp and I'm back to make something much easier today. Today I thought what I'd do is make some whole wheat bread. Really, what is better than fresh baked bread? And easy. It's not really that difficult to make. Most bread isn't. Usually the toughest part is all the kneading. If you don't have something like this, which is a KitchenAid Mixmaster, it becomes a little more difficult, a little more work to get your hands in there and to do all the kneading. Some recipes you can use even a food processor if you have a really good high quality food processor that has a very strong little motor in it, it won't burn out. So anyways, if you don't get one of these, or do like your moms used to do, your grandmothers, and use their hands, but not me, I'm going to use this. Not a lot of ingredients. Of course, we've got whole wheat flour, we also use some bread flour, water, buttermilk. If you don't have buttermilk, you can use like 2% milk, and also just stir in like a bit of vinegar, and I'll explain that when I get to that point. It actually creates like a buttermilk. I use honey and brown sugar, and of course you need some yeast. This is active dry yeast, which I use for this recipe. So let's get to work. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour a cup of warmish water in a bowl. Basically what we want to do is activate the yeast. Take about 1.5 tablespoons of active dry yeast. And then we need just a pinch of brown sugar. Then I stir that a little bit. Basically what we want to do is just activate the yeast, and the warm water helps to do that. So stir that in, and then we basically just have to wait for about 10 minutes. Okay, we're waiting for the yeast to activate still, a few more minutes with that. So what we do is do the next part, which is mixing my flour with a couple of other things. What I have in here is 2 cups of whole wheat flour. What I'm going to do is mix that in with 1.5 cups of buttermilk, which I'm just going to warm up in the microwave just so it's warmish, not cold. I've got 1/2 cup of olive oil and 1/2 cup of honey. You can use, instead of honey, you can use molasses if you want. You could also use maple syrup. The maple syrup and honey are 2 of my favorites. It gives it a slightly different taste, basically. Mix in 1 tablespoon of salt, and then once our yeast is ready to go, we'll drop that in and mix it all together. Okay, I have my 2 cups of flour ready to go. I warmed up my buttermilk, so I pour that in. I've got my honey and I've got my olive oil. I'm gonna add my tablespoon of salt. And then we're just gonna mix it for about a minute. Okay, so I'm just gonna let you take a look at that. So you can see it's nice and kind of creamy. That's exactly what you want, just that kind of creamy sort of look to it. Here's our yeast. You can see that it's basically activated now. That's exactly what I want to see. And then we'll pour that into the flour mixture as well. Okay, so I'm going to take my yeast and pour that in. I've poured my yeast in, and I'm going to add another cup of whole wheat flour to it and then mix it all in together. Okay, so now we're going to mix in our bread flour. Basically what you want to do is add this in about 1/2 cup at a time until the dough starts to pull away from the sides of the bowl. Again, I'll show you our dough right now. And you can see it's very sticky. It's all up on the sides. As I start to add the dough 1/2 cup at a time, and combined, it will start to pull away into a bit of a mass. And then we know it's time to change to the dough hook. So as we do this, I'll add to about 3 cups, 3.5 cups, maybe 4 cups of white flour, bread flour. A lot depends on the actual whole wheat flour, but I usually find it's around 3 cups. So you can see I've added my 3 cups of flour, bread flour, and it's pulled away from the sides now. It's looking a little shaggy down in the bottom. What we're going to do is put in the dough hook to basically knead it now for a little bit. Okay, so I've added my dough hook in. Now we're just going to mix it on low speed for about 5 minutes, until it just becomes a nice sort of mass. And then we put in our oiled bowl and we're off to the races. Okay, so we're done kneading the bread dough. So you have a nice ball of dough in here. So what I've done is I've taken a big bowl, this glass bowl, and basically wiped it down with olive oil. Gonna roll that ball around a little bit, cover it tightly with plastic wrap. Okay, so it's covered up nice and tight with plastic wrap, and basically what we do is we have to let this rise for an hour and a half. This is the cool part. Okay, I'm back. Here's our dough. It's been about an hour and a half, and you can see it's much bigger than it was before. That's good. Now what we have to do is actually just divide it into two and roll it out and put it into some loaf pans. So I'll show you how we do that. Okay, so we take our dough out of the bowl. Split it into two pieces. And basically what we want to do is shape it out to almost like a long rectangle. Okay, so basically what I want to do now is we have a loaf pan. I've sprayed it with a bit of Pam, so they're ready to go. So when you have your piece that's sort of rectangular shape like this, basically you fold the ends in like this, and then we roll it. Okay, then what we do is we want to let this rise for another hour. I'm going to cover it up with saran wrap again, and we'll just let it sit here and let it rise. And then we bake in the oven. Okay, so it's been an hour. You can see my loaves have risen. Now I'm going to put them in the oven for 35 to 40 minutes at 375 degrees, and then we'll have fresh bread. Fresh bread. And so here's our bread after it's pulled out of the oven. I already took a piece off that other one because it was so good. It's pretty easy to make whole wheat bread, and your family will love you for it.